pound, which for an animal with an average height of 3 feet and a length of around 4 feet is a considerable distance. They use this technique
A very good evening to you from wherever you're watching us tonight. It is the 18th day of December 2023, exactly 1 week to Christmas. So much lined up for you tonight, but first, the headlines. Four people perish and 9 others injured in Monday's Aldret Nakuru Road accident. Kenya to have a duty-free access to European market. President Ruto signs the Kenya and European Union Economic Partnership Agreement in State House, Nairobi. Government to enhance intergovernmental consultations to accelerate its bottom-up economic transformation agenda, says President William Ruto. And Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu releases the 2024 Form 1 placement results. 1.4 million students admitted.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Odida.
That's right. Welcome to our broadcast. We are live on YouTube at KUTV News Kenya and on X at KUTV_Kenya. Interact with us also at Odida. A sign language interpreter tonight is Sami Okello. We begin. Now, 4 passengers lost their lives while 9 survived serious injuries today at 3 a.m. through a tragic road accident involving a Nakuru-bound matatu belonging to Msamaria Shuttle Limited. The vehicle lost control, colliding head-on with an oncoming 60-seater bus headed to Nairobi. The Nakuru County Police Commander Francis Wahome has indicated that the survivors are currently receiving treatment at Eldamaravine Sub-County Referral Hospital, while bodies of the deceased were moved to the same facility. The National Police Service has urged motorists and all other road users to exercise extreme caution while on the roads, especially during this festive season. Moving on, the European Union and Kenya has today in State House, Nairobi, signed an economic partnership agreement to boost bilateral trade and goods, increase investment flows, and contribute to sustainable economic growth. According to the European Union President Ursula von der Leyen, the agreement provides a platform to support job creation on both nations, along with targeted cooperation to enhance Kenya's economic development. Listen in.
President William Ruto and delegation from European Union led by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has witnessed the signing of Kenya-European Union Economic Partnership Agreement in State House, Nairobi.
We shall now
the Economic Partnership Agreement will boost bilateral trade in goods, increase investment flows, and bolster cooperation between the two nations. According to President William Ruto, the Kenya-European Union agreement will open new markets for other professionals, adding that development cooperations will be enhanced in areas of trade to pursue a green economy.
I expect that with the signing of the Economic Partnership Agreement, development cooperation will be significantly enhanced, especially in the areas of trade and investment, and with a special focus on Kenya's commitment to pursue a transition to a green economy.
That this trade deal includes substantial development and cooperation elements with a focus on sustainable provisions. These include climate action, environmental protection, and labor rights, amongst others. It will therefore be a catalyst for sustainable economic growth.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen noted that adding value to locally available products will create job opportunities to the locals, urging other African countries to join the partnership.
We encourage the other Eastern African countries to join this economic partnership agreement. They can only benefit from the regional integration, and of course, it is here in the region important also amongst yourselves to open the markets.
Trade, Industry and Investment Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano applauded the signing of the Kenya-European Union Economic Agreement, noting that the agreement will benefit the country as it will gain a duty and quota-free access to European market and a preferential access of European goods to Kenyan market.
A permanent agreement and arrangement to guarantee access to the European market for our enterprises. Kenyan exporters will now be able to make long-term plans based on predictable, duty-free and quota-free access to a premium export market.
Today's agreement heralds a new era where Kenyan goods gain immediate and permanent duty and quota-free access to the European market. Over time, European goods will also gain preferential access to the Kenyan market.
The balanced agreement takes into account Kenya's development needs by providing a longer period to gradually open its market for the country's economic growth. Dorothy Musyoka, KUTV.
President William Ruto has lauded the intergovernmental collaboration in facilitating project implementation in the counties. Ruto was speaking during the National and County Government Summit at State House in Nairobi, stated that despite the national and county levels of government being distinct, they are required to conduct their mutual relation on the basis of cooperation and consultation.
We managed to agree with the Indian government.
As the country marks the 10th National and County Government Summit at State House, Nairobi, President William Ruto has applauded the intergovernmental collaboration, which he claims is inclined to his bottom-up agenda, thus indispensable.
My support for devolution, therefore, anchored on the understanding that the flourishing of our grassroots is a precondition to national economic transformation, and that bottom-up sharing of duties and benefits, obligations and rights is the fundamental common denominator of both the devolved system of governance and our bottom-up economic transformation agenda.
Ruto outlined that the collaboration is vital in implementation of county industrial and aggregation parks, successful delivery of fertilizer subsidy, implementation of affordable housing program, disaster management and provision of inclusive, effective and accessible healthcare, especially through deployment of 100,000 community health promoters to deliver preventive healthcare.
We also aim to fast-track the signing of financing agreements for negotiated programs like Kenya Urban Support Program 2, facilitating inclusion in the Additional Allocation Bill 2023.
On pending devolved functions, the President expressed his commitment to actualize their transfer by tasking the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee to undertake detailed analysis of the Constitution. The report shall, however, be approved before it's gazetted. However, Ruto indicated that for the first time, the National Treasury managed to deliver all county allocations as at the end of financial year 2022-2023.
My administration has made substantial progress in promoting devolution as a principle and value, pursuing it as a policy and strategic objective, and consolidating the gains of devolution, notably through the following interventions. For the first time since the advent of devolution, the National Treasury has endeavored to disperse all the allocations to counties as at the end of financial year 2022-2023.
The decentralized system of government was provided by the Constitution of Kenya 2010 as its operation began soon after the March 2013 elections. The 47 county governments are in charge of overseeing functions which were previously responsibility of Kenya's national government, including the provision of healthcare, pre-primary education, and maintenance of local roads. Anyango Sylvia, KUTV.
Now, Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu has released the 2024 Form 1 placement today at Lenana School, stating that all 1.4 million candidates who sat the 2023 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education Examinations, that is KCPE, have secured the Form 1 placement in various schools. Machogu stated that the process was fair, with most candidates getting their schools of choice. The CS has urged parents to download the placement letters directly from the Ministry of Education's website. Now, across our borders, with more than 18,000 Palestinians killed in Israel's war against Hamas, a top Biden administration official says he has asked Israel's Prime Minister to transition from high-intensity operations to a more targeted phase of the war. Meanwhile, the Israeli military says it mistakenly killed 3 Israeli hostages in fighting in northern Gaza. VOS senior diplomatic correspondent Cindy Sain reports from the State Department.
The Israel Defense Forces said they mistakenly shot and killed 3 Israeli hostages who may have been abandoned or trying to flee their Hamas captors. The shooting happened during a military operation on Friday. More than 130 hostages are still being held in Gaza by the U.S.-designated terrorist group Hamas. Also on Friday, Al Jazeera cameraman Samer Abu Daka was killed in an Israeli attack in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. The news outlet says Israeli forces prevented medical teams from immediately reaching him. As the war continues to take an enormous toll on Palestinian civilians, the U.S. is calling on Israel to transition from a heavy assault to a more targeted phase of the campaign. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. At the White House, National Security Council Coordinator John Kirby said Sullivan discussed the progress of the war.
He did talk about possible transitioning from what we would call high-intensity operations, which is what we're seeing them do now, to lower-intensity operations sometime, in the near future. But I don't want to put a timestamp on it.
One expert told VOA he believes the U.S. push for Israel to scale down the assault on Gaza would have an impact.
I think that the Israelis probably in mid-January or toward the end of January are going to do precisely that.
Another expert agreed.
However, realistically, the Israelis must understand, as President Biden does, that these thousands of tragic deaths of Palestinian civilians can't go on, that it is what was once unqualified support for Israel's right to defend itself is becoming increasingly qualified to Israel's detriment. So certainly there will have to be some adjustments, but I think it's all a balancing act, really.
Protests against Israel's bombing campaign continue in the United States and elsewhere. Activists demanding a ceasefire blocked rush hour traffic on a major highway in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on Thursday. Cindy Sain, VOA News, the State Department.
We are taking a very fast short break at this point. Of course, so much more lined up for you. Stay with us.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za taarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi. Ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani swahibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa KUTV, nahodha mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalonukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
From the farm to the consumer, we explore agribusiness opportunities right here with you.
Changamoto lingine ni soko. Soko saa ingine bei inashuka tu drastic, kama saa hii hoho imeshuka chini.
On Money Monday, we explore business stories and engage business professionals as reference points for analyzing investment opportunities.
Last year, the economy grew by 4.8%. Which is really an indication of the resilience of the economy.
If we don't grow the economy, then we cannot have economic transformation.
We shall bring you up to speed with everything taking center stage in the business world and the state of the nation. Join me and Odida every Sunday and Monday for captivating, entertaining and informative stories at 9 p.m.
Focus on Health is a show that creates awareness on matters health and informs you on various diseases, their causes, treatment, prevention, coping, and support. So join me, Bari Michelle, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. only on KUTV. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at KUTV Focus on Health on Facebook and also on YouTube, and Health Focus on Instagram, because your health is your wealth. Stay safe and stay healthy.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Odida.
Welcome back. You're watching KUTV Primetime News. Now, Blue Cross Nyatike has officially launched a groundbreaking fish farming project aimed at enhancing and improving the community's livelihood by promoting economic growth in the region and integrating farmers into the commodity market. On the other hand, some matatu operators in Malindi town are organizing a protest due to harassment from local authorities in the area. This and more in the counters tonight.
The fish farming project held at the Sori Beach Landing Unit in Kacheng Ward, Migori County was generously funded by Blue Cross Nyatike and is set to revolutionize the local economy by introducing modern aquaculture techniques to the community.
The project is a 6 million Kenya shillings funded project, and it was a 24-month project. The sustainability is that we are working closely with the county government, together with the local authorities and stakeholders, together with BMUs, to ensure that it becomes sustainable even after the funding of the donor.
This project is actually coming handy, and it's in line with the manifesto that we have, our blueprint for changing Migori County, one of the areas that are under a lot of focus.
Elsewhere in Gucha sub-county in Kisii, the former Machoge Dairy Farmers Self-Help Group has registered as Bochitendere Sacco with over 120 members, courtesy of the county government's commitment to empower the members. The chairman of the local business community, Julius Ondiba, petitioned President William Ruto through the area MP Alpha Miruka to assist the Sacco succeed under the economic bottom-up approach policy.
Naomba our MP, Mr. Alpha Miruka, atusaidie kwa kuongea na our excellence the president Samoei Ruto, atusaidie kwa sababu bottom up ila anaongea tunataka ianzie kwa hii chama.
Meanwhile, a showdown is looming between the Malindi Municipality Board and some matatu operators in Malindi town, who have accused the local authority of harassing them because of operating from the old bus park area instead of operating from the new Malindi bus park.
Sisi wa Bipindo tunahangaishwa peke yetu wanyonge, kwa mnyonge asipate haki. Ni sawa kweli wazee? Tunaomba sisi ni serikali, tumepiga serikali ya hasla. Ipate kura mahasla na sisi tupate nafuu. Sisi mahasla tunashangaa serikali yetu ya Malindi, kaunti ya Malindi inatuhangaisha tusipate riziki.
Matatu operators claim that the municipality is denying them an opportunity to earn a living and has resorted to erecting roadblocks and using the traffic police department to enforce what they term as illegal regulations. Kiki Blessings, KUTV.
Businesses are suffering. Work permits for Palestinians working in Israel have been revoked, and Palestinian Authority employees have not been paid properly in weeks. Henry Wilkins with that report.
In one of Ramallah's industrial zones, Abu Mohammed Yaqub, a metal fabricator who makes grills for windows and gates, says since the war started in October, customers have little money and checks from those who have put in orders usually bounce. He says prices from his suppliers have skyrocketed.
No one can go to Israel to bring supplies because travel permits have been taken away. That's why products and raw materials are more expensive. Anyone who still has stock from before the war is selling it at higher prices too.
Permits to work in Israel have been revoked too. According to the Palestinian Ministry of the National Economy, since October 7th, Israel has revoked travel permits for as many as 130,000 Palestinians who previously worked or did business in Israel, making it hard, if not impossible, for them to earn a living. Israeli politicians have cited security concerns over Palestinians entering Israeli territory as the main reason. But problems with the West Bank's economy due to the war do not end there. Because the West Bank does not control its borders, Israel collects import taxes on its behalf. Since October, the Palestinian Authority, which administers the West Bank, has refused to accept the tax payments in protest after Israel sought to withhold some of them due to the war in Gaza. Since then, the PA has not been able to fully pay employees, like Muafe El-Bagouti, who works in a department focused on countering Israeli settlements in the West Bank.
Of course, the economic situation affects us, but we have to cope with the conditions imposed by the occupiers. The Israelis say it's to avoid paying salaries for terrorists' families. But this is an Israeli policy targeting every Palestinian.
El-Bagouti says he has received only around 17% of his usual pay in the last 3 months. More Israeli checkpoints on the roads are causing problems too.
The impact of the Israeli checkpoints is significant. It means agricultural products that need to be moved rot, and products are damaged and delayed. Everything takes more time, gas and transportation expenses, making products unprofitable for Palestinians.
On whether there's an end in sight to the West Bank's economic woes, one expert said Israel will likely have to let Palestinian workers back in eventually.
They're talking about starting from perhaps doing gradually different ages or doing more security checks. I'm not sure they're doing it at the right pace, but I think this is going to happen. How quickly? Let's see.
There's concern among political commentators that unless something is done soon to end the squeeze in the West Bank, it could lead to civil unrest and more security problems for Israel. Henry Wilkins, VOA News, Ramallah, the West Bank.
Ukraine moves closer to joining the European Union as leaders agreed to start membership talks. But money to sustain its war effort against invading Russia hit a familiar roadblock with an ally of Russia's president in the EU. VOA's Arash Arabasadi has the story.
Rescue workers fight flames in Ukraine's Odessa region after a downed drone starts a fire in a residential area, killing at least one civilian. Ukraine's Air Force said it destroyed 20 Russian drones overnight, and the regional governor said it was the third Russian airstrike in the past week. As Ukraine readies for another winter at war with Russia, European leaders met late last week in the Belgian capital to discuss Ukraine's bid to join the EU.
26 member states decided to support the proposal of a review of the multi-annual framework. 26, this is not enough to make a legally binding decision.
The European Union consists of 27 member states. All 27 must unanimously approve other nations joining the fold. The lone holdout to Ukraine's accession remains Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, considered Russian President Vladimir Putin's strongest ally in the EU. After what's been described as a stalemate in Brussels, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz says he suggested that Orban leave the room while the other 26 nations discussed a €50 billion aid package to Ukraine, something Orban so far refuses to support. Orban promptly took to social media to call the decision senseless, irrational, and wrong, adding that Hungary is not changing its position. Despite failing to reach financial terms of support at the meeting in Brussels, European leaders expressed hope for the future of war-torn Ukraine.
We are working very hard, of course, to have a result of where there is an agreement of 27 member states. But I think it is now also necessary to work on potential alternatives to have an operational solution in case that an agreement by 27, so unanimity, is not possible.
The Brussels summit came in the same week that Putin held his annual year-end marathon news conference in Moscow. The Russian president, who recently announced he'd seek another term in the Kremlin, said Ukraine's free ride of financial aid would soon come to an end, predicting fractures in the EU and a hyper-partisan U.S. Congress. Putin also expressed a willingness to reach an agreement with the U.S. on returning Western detainees without revealing many details. As world leaders debate aid packages and the future of Ukraine's EU membership at meetings likely in January, a drone strike in Ukraine's Kherson region serves as a reminder that another winter at war is coming, with or without material support. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News.
All right, we're taking another short break, and that sports news is on the other side of this break.
Lola is an app that gives you a chance to watch videos, listen to audios, and read articles wherever you are for free. Motivational stories, dramas, campus life, technology, lifestyle, adventure, sports, academics, jobs, entertainment, and more. Download Lola now on Play Store. All you need, you got Lola.
That crowd there was mad for me.
You realize what just happened?
Don't stress, it's just rock and roll.
The police?
Is everything okay with Nami?
Geoffrey, I'm afraid I have some bad news. The investors decided to pull out of the deal, stating that your family scandal would make a mockery of their image.
Kutoka kuwa jamii ya kuhamahama na sasa kujumuisha kilimo katika mitindo yao ya maisha. Kwenye toleo la kaunti ya Narok, hii ni Boresha Kilimo, kwani afya bora ni kilimo bora.
Kwani kilimo ndicho huboresha maisha.
Now, let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. The silver medalist of the Half Marathon World Championship, Denis Obenyo Simiyu, has vowed to break the half marathon's world record just a day after making a new course record in the 25 kilometers race World Best Edition, which was held at Kolkata in India. Simiyu missed the world record mark yesterday by 3 seconds as he recorded a running time of 1 hour and 11 minutes. He stated that he will use the lessons that he learned in Kolkata to achieve the world record history. And finally, English side Arsenal is set to clash with the Portuguese side FC Porto, while the defending champions Manchester City will be facing Copenhagen in the round of 16 match of the UEFA Champions League after the draw was conducted today in Nyon. In the Europa League's draw, which was also held today, Mourinho's side AS Roma will face Feyenoord among other matches of the knockout stage.
Was conducted today at Nyon, Switzerland. English side Arsenal, who are yet to win a European title, will face Portuguese side FC Porto, as the defending champions Manchester City will be clashing with Copenhagen. Italian side Napoli, who had a successful campaign in the league last season, will be facing the La Liga's defending champion Barcelona, a team which has won the UEFA title 5 times. Elsewhere, Jose Mourinho's team AS Roma is set to battle with the Dutch side Feyenoord in the knockout stage match at the Europa League, whose draw was also conducted today. AC Milan will face Rennes, Lens will play against Freiburg, as Turkish club Galatasaray will be facing Sparta Braha. The round of 16 matches of the UEFA will kick off on 13th February next year, as the Europa's knockout stage matches will be kicking off on 15th of February. Derek Odhiambo, KUTV.
All right, that brings us to the end of our bulletin tonight. Many thanks indeed for keeping us company. Be sure to stay tuned for subsequent bulletin and during the week. My name is Ann Odida. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Samuel Kelo. Have yourself a good night and see you next week, inshallah.